Okay, what's up, everybody? It's Kiki from Watcher of All Things, and a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, we did the 2026 movie preview show. We ran through something like 50 movies, and it made me realize that 2026 is going to be a huge year at the cinema. We're coming to the end of January, and I feel like I've already watched a few really entertaining movies that I'm going to think about for the rest of the year. No, I don't mean Chris Pratt's new film, Mercy. That was one of the worst films I've ever seen in a theater. But look, if I've already been entertained in the month of January, it's got to be a really big year because normally this is a wreck of a month. So given the anticipation for 2026, today I want to give you my 5 most anticipated movies of 2026. And I want you to keep in mind, when I say anticipated, I don't just mean movies I am excited for. Some of these I'm a little bit worried or even kind of nervous, but most of them I am pretty excited for. Like, subscribe, comment your 5 most anticipated movies of the year down below. But okay, let's get into it with some honorable mentions. Just want to briefly shout out these couple of movies because I can't believe they're not in my top 5, but I have been thinking about them a lot and I'm so curious how they're going to turn out. Greta Gerwig's Narnia, the Magician's Nephew. Yes, the director of Little Women and Lady Bird is doing a Narnia film shot in IMAX. I have no clue how this is going to turn out. Greta Gerwig doing a big franchise like this feels so out of character, especially a Netflix franchise that is releasing in IMAX. It's such a weird Frankenstein kind of creative team up. And as much as I love her movies, Barbie felt incredibly commercial, even though there was a lot of sweetness behind it and I had a lot of fun with it. But I want to be optimistic. I'm hoping she can bring a lot of her sensibilities to this very popular franchise. Another honorable mention, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. I mean, what else is there to say? It's Steven Spielberg returning to Alien films. You should be excited. The drama starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I'm very excited for this movie. I don't really know tons about it. Finally, Avengers Doomsday. I mean, this could be the MCU as we know it. It could be the biggest mess this franchise has ever had, or it's going to be a lifeline that might win over a lot of fans that have abandoned this franchise. But okay, my 5th most anticipated film of 2026 is kind of cheating because I'm sharing it with 2 films. I'm talking about Supergirl and Clayface. More so, I think Clayface. We've had 3 projects in the DCU with Creature Commandos, Superman, and Peacemaker Season 2. All 3 of them have been James Gunn projects, so I'm finally excited to get something that's not from him. But then, like a lot of people, I saw the Supergirl trailer and I was like, oh, this kind of just feels like another James Gunn thing. If you saw my DC video way back in August, I talked about how excited I am with the DCU being this larger universe that's going to have different directors and writers come in and share their distinct voice in a lot of different stories. So yeah, the trailer worried me. That being said, it is directed by Craig Gillespie, who I'm a big fan of. I loved I, Tonya. I've seen that movie so many times. I just wonder if he's maybe relying on James Gunn's shtick a little bit. But despite all the worrying elements, I am a little bit excited for this movie. I think Millie Alcock looks amazing as Supergirl, Jason Momoa as Lobo, and the film was shot by Rob Hardy, who is a fantastic cinematographer. He's done several films I've loved, especially the best Mission Impossible movie, Fallout, as well as Civil War. And I just remember that he's also cinematographer on Clayface, so that's a really interesting fact. I mean, do they want the movies to be distinct from each other, or are they going for this unified look? I mean, if they are going for the unified look, Rob Hardy is a great choice to bring that look to life. Now let's talk about Clayface, because yes, it's secretly in 5th place alongside Supergirl, because I think this movie will be a lot more telling of what the future of the DCU will be. Is it going to be a Sony Spider-Man universe where we have spin-offs not including our main hero? Or is it going to be a unique cinematic little $40 million horror movie based on one of the best storylines from Batman the Animated Series? I want to be confident because it is a Mike Flanagan script and he's talked about how much he loved those episodes of Batman the Animated Series. James Watkins directing feels like a fine choice, so I don't know. I think it'll turn out probably good. I'm very curious to see how Clayface actually hints towards the DCU's Batman now that we have a confirmed writer and possibly a confirmed director, but who knows? I think they do need to figure out Batman very quickly. As excited as I am obviously for the Batman Part 2, I care way more about that, but DCU Batman, you gotta get the ball rolling here. Overall though, I think it's gonna be a huge year for the DCU. At least the Lanterns trailer kind of looks a little bit different, but Supergirl and Clayface wise, I think there is a real chance to revitalize the genre or just be a solid entry as this dying superhero fad passes us. Next up, my 4th most anticipated movie of the year is The Adventures of Cliff Booth. I'd say this is the film within these 5 I'm going to talk about that I'm most worried about. I think like a lot of people, I've kind of soured on Brad Pitt given how those documents revealed he treated Angelina Jolie, so a film led by him just doesn't really get me going. And like Greta Gerwig's Narnia, this is a really weird, creative mishmash Frankenstein thing to me. movie. We have Quentin Tarantino's script because it's of course a sequel to his previous film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We have David Fincher directing, which given the extremely comedic tone of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm like, huh? Oh, okay, interesting. On top of that, it's a Netflix distributed film, which is the weirdest part. I didn't think Quentin Tarantino would ever let one of his projects become a Netflix film, but here we are. Now let's take this step by step. First of all, it's a Quentin Tarantino script, and it's only a script by him. Actually, I think it's a teleplay because he's too scared to direct another movie. He doesn't want to ruin his 10 movie run that he's planning the big finale of. The whole 10 films only thing is really strange, but let's be real, a lot of things Quentin Tarantino has done and said is very strange. And to be fair, him only writing a film and not directing it isn't a new thing. He's done that several times. But for such a big character like Cliff Booth from one of his most beloved films to just be handed off to another director where he's only writing the script is really strange. Now, David Fincher directing, also very strange. This year we're also getting The Social Reckoning, which is a companion piece to one of the best films of the century, The Social Network. He's not directing that one. Instead, Aaron Sorkin is going to write and direct, unlike just writing in the last one. So it's a weird year of directors handing off their beloved franchises to other directors. Finally, it is a Netflix film. I mean, David Fincher's last movie, The Killer, which I really enjoyed, was a Netflix movie. So I'm not really shocked he's back there for another one. Actually, I think he has like a multi-picture deal possibly. I do worry though, this is going to be some 2-week release and then dumped on Netflix on Christmas Day or something like that, which I don't want. I want 45 days. Let me see it multiple times in theaters if I have to. I probably won't, but I want that option. It's my God-given right. Look, I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much. I thought it was such an interesting movie, but a sequel just doesn't interest me at all. I think I really just want to see a trailer because the anticipation is killing me and I have no clue what to expect. Side note, another cinematographer to talk about, and actually with all 5 movies we're going to discuss today, the cinematographer is a huge aspect for me, but The Adventures of Cliff Booth is actually being shot by Eric Messerschmidt, who is going to be doing The Batman Part 2. He shot The Killer for David Fincher, absolutely gorgeous movie, so I don't know, maybe he'll make this one a little bit more interesting. But regardless, strange project, and I'm very worried for The Adventures of Cliff Booth. Alright, let's get down to my top 3, and all 3 of these movies I am very excited about. I feel like there's not a lot of things worrying me about them. My third most anticipated film of 2026 is Project Hail Mary, coming on March 20th in IMAX. I have been excited about this movie since the very first set photo of Ryan Gosling and Sandra Huller, and both trailers, although they have shown so much, have given me goosebumps. I think this looks amazing, and it gets extra bounty points because it used Sign of the Times by Harry Styles. To me, Project Hail Mary feels like it could be a nomination magnet at all of the award ceremonies next year. It could also possibly be one of my favorite movies of the year because so many of my favorite people are collaborating on this. Before I get into my favorite people that are involved in this project, I do want to note that Project Hail Mary was written by Andy Weir, who also wrote The Martian, a movie I enjoyed a lot. So the original creative voice behind this film is from someone that I've loved a previous project from them, so it's hard not to be excited right away. Next, the film is written by Drew Goddard, who also wrote the screenplay for The Martian. He also wrote the Netflix Daredevil show, and I believe it was maybe just the premiere that he wrote, but he brought a lot of the voice to that show. He was also my top pick to write the DCU Batman, but that's not going to happen. I'm just happy he's involved here. Another thing that makes me excited about this film, it is shot by one of my favorite cinematographers, if not my favorite, Greg Fraser. He's only done 3 of my favorite movies ever with The Batman, Dune Part 1, and Dune Part 2. He's also done some other very pretty movies like Rogue One and The Creator. He's one of the very best cinematographers working right now. And if that's not enough, it is directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who haven't technically directed a film together since Solo, a Star Wars story, which they were fired from. But outside of that, it would be 22 Jump Street and The Lego Movie in 2014. 2 movies I like a lot. And like I mentioned before, it's Ryan Gosling and Sandra Huller, who are just absolutely polar opposite actors to me. But I believe they can make an absolute dynamite pairing on screen, although the movie probably focuses a lot more on Ryan Gosling's character in space. I mean, Sandra Huller, the mom from Anatomy of a Fall, one of the very best dramas of the 2020s. Also Hedwig Haas in The Zone of Interest, an Oscar-winning Holocaust drama, paired with Ryan Gosling, whose most recent performances were his wonderful work in The Fall Guy and Barbie. I am so ready to see them on screen together. I think Project Hail Mary looks like an absolute home run. I am so excited. It is my 3rd most anticipated movie of the year, but the runner-up in 2nd place, if you know me, you knew it was going to be on this list. It is Christopher Nolan, or Sir Christopher Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Look, I've been called many things in my life, whether it's short, arrogant, energetic, annoying. I've rejected many of these titles, but one title I will never reject is Christopher Nolan Die Hard. Nolan could direct a TD Bank commercial and I'd probably put it in my Letterboxd top 4 within 12 months. I've loved every single one of his movies that I have watched. The only one I'm missing is Insomnia, which I'm actually watching this week for the very first time. Even his messiest films that are extremely flawed, I get a lot of enjoyment from, like The Dark Knight Rises or Tenet. Bruce Wayne finally making the climb out of the cave, spectacular. The Freeport mission and the Pincer Movement mission at the end of Tenet, I mean, both are straight up cinema. But The Odyssey, like a lot of Nolan's previous films, feels like he is taking a thread from his past work and really expanding it in a unique way. He made Memento in 2000, a non-linear investigation story told in black and white and then some color portions. In 2023, we get Oppenheimer, an even bigger non-linear investigation story, but with a more dire humanity element. And like Memento, it's told through black and white objective scenes and then some color subjective scenes. I think The Odyssey is once again Nolan taking a storytelling methodology or formula that he's used in the past and filling it out a little bit more. This time he's taking Dunkirk, a film about soldiers attempting an impossible journey home through numerous means in an effort to escape their enemies, and doing it with The Odyssey, one of the oldest stories in human history that's been adapted a billion times, been translated hundreds of times. Dunkirk was his historical epic that went for extreme accuracy, but The Odyssey will be a crazy mythological epic. I mean, the Trojan horse scene alone is almost identical to all of the British soldiers that are hiding in the boat in Dunkirk, but somehow it feels even cooler. I don't know, I just love seeing him reinvent himself in fun ways. I never really thought Nolan would go for the mythological thing because so many of his films are grounded. I mean, his Batman movies are extremely grounded and it's Batman. But like Oppenheimer, and I'd argue even Tenet, it's Nolan really trying to push himself into the uncomfortable zones. And with The Odyssey, there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, Hoyt van Hoytema using these new IMAX cameras is going to be out of this world. And one of the very first things that got me excited about this film is Tom Holland is starring in it. I think he is a good actor. It's just outside of Spider-Man, he's gotten no good material to work with. So this could be something special for him. And outside of Tom Holland, just like Oppenheimer, this cast is absolutely stupidly outrageous. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, John Leguizamo, Hamish Patel, Mia Goth. Like, holy dear God, let him cook. I'm already trying to brush up on all of my pronunciations of the names like Telemachus, Amenamenemon, or whatever it might be. I'm going to be butchering these names until the film comes out. The Odyssey looks amazing. I can't wait to see it 4 or 5 times. I'm hoping I can see it in IMAX 70mm. I hope it's 5 hours long. Also, if you're one of those annoying dorks that's like, the armor isn't accurate, or, why would he say dad at that time? I'm begging you to get a life. Also, just tell me quickly, is the Cyclops accurate? Yeah, I didn't think so. But The Odyssey looks like it'll be another masterpiece from Nolan. I'm very excited, and it's my second most anticipated movie of the year. In first place, however, just narrowly beating out The Odyssey only because I am like 1% worried about this movie, it's Dune Part 3. As mentioned, Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 are on my Mount Rushmore of films. I've watched them so many times, and they're not even a decade old. I love Dune so much, I even have a Dune tattoo on my arm. And as a proud Canadian, I love Denis Villeneuve. God bless that amazing French-Canadian man. I love him so much, I'm even excited for his James Bond film. But even as the world's biggest Denisville Dune believer, I'm so curious, what the hell is he gonna do with this third movie? If you aren't aware, the first Dune book is packed with amazing action and high-intensity drama as seen in the first 2 movies. The next book, however, Dune Messiah, gets a little freaky with it. I don't want to spoil anything because a lot of people probably haven't read it yet, but there is a giant tonal shift that I'm so curious how the general public is going to react to. Dune Messiah is a book that Frank Herbert wrote because he was so annoyed with how readers viewed Paul as a hero within the story after the first Dune book, so he wrote a whole book out of spite for his own fans. And Dune Messiah was not well received when it first came out, very mixed reviews. Now it's probably the favorite book of the series for a lot of people, if not God Emperor or the first book. But as much as I focused on Dune Messiah, this is clearly not going to be a straight up Dune Messiah adaptation. The Atreides children have been cast, and Anya Taylor-Joy is playing Paul's sister as an adult. It looks like this movie is going to be an interesting hybrid of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, another really good Dune book. That's a lot of material to work with, and I feel like it's fair that even the biggest Dune lover and the biggest believer in Denis Villeneuve is a little bit worried how it's going to turn out. But guess what? I actually have faith in him. This movie looks absolutely stacked. We're going to have triple the amounts of Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan. We're gonna have a buzz-cut sad boy hours Timothy Chalamet as a whole other version of Paul. And the cherry on top, it looks like Robert Pattinson is playing the villain Scytale, a Tleilaxu face dancer. Amazing character in the book, and I'm so excited to see how Pattinson brings that role to life. Most of all, however, I am very excited to see what we could do with Chani in this film. I will die on the hill that the biggest improvement Denis Villeneuve made over the books is making Chani an actual three-dimensional character who has some agency. In the books, she's kind of a nothing character and the side piece of Paul, you could say. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think Zendaya's Chani could have a huge role here. Look, as sad as I am that this will be the final Dune film from Denis Villeneuve, I am very excited to see how he's going to cap off this insane trilogy that has changed my relationship with sci-fi. And I am very sad that Greg Fraser can't come back because he's doing the Beatles films, but Linus Sandgren stepping in as cinematographer is a crazy choice. And I'd argue it's probably a good thing because I think this movie should be as tonally different as possible, also on a visual side of things. Linus has shot so many of my favorite movies. I mean, the biggest being La La Land, another movie I have tattooed on me. So Dune Part 3 could be the greatest trilogy ender. It could be one of the best book adaptations ever, or it might be a complete disaster. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, it's my most anticipated film of 2026. So there you have it, my 5 most anticipated movies of 2026. I think there's a potential that a lot of these could be box office hits, but we'll see how it all shakes down at the end of the year. If you want to hear me talk a little bit more in depth about all of these films, you can check out my podcast, Watcher of All Things. It's my weekly show where I discuss movies, TV shows, and all things entertainment, with new episodes dropping every Monday. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts or right here on this wonderful YouTube channel. And I can absolutely promise you I will talk about each and every single one of these movies in an episode this year. Once again, hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you know when new videos or podcast episodes drop. Around March 1st, I'm going to post my Oscar hopes and predictions. It's going to be a really fun video, so check that out. And like I said, comment your most anticipated films of the year down below. I'm excited to hear what other people are excited about, or what are you worried about? What films do you not have faith in? But that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.
I put the knot in astronaut. I've never done anything. I've never done a space. I can't even moonwalk.